Woo! Just walked outside. It is bright. I've been inside this morning. Had a nice long day. Lots of sunshine yesterday. Just want to talk about basically some events that happened last night with my partner. We weren't very teammate-like to each other last night, so we have some lessons to learn for us both. But most importantly, I think there's lessons to learn for a lot of people. So I'm going to get down to some nitty-gritty stuff about it and just get down to the basic point. The basic fact is that most people don't know this. I'm not sure why this isn't common knowledge, but the fact of the matter is, your thoughts are not your thoughts. Man, my eyes are not adjusting well to this sunshine. Woo! I was outside all day yesterday. Anyways, let's go over in the shade so you can keep my eyes adjusted here. Woo! Good stuff. Okay. So your thoughts are not your own thoughts, right? You need to take some time to learn this and educate yourself about this, and just pay attention to this one fact if you don't believe me. Would you agree, yes or no? Do you listen to your thoughts? If the answer is yes, well, it's become very apparent that it's not you then, is it? If you're listening to that, right? You listen to somebody else talk, you listen to somebody else's point of view, you watch the video in your head. For me, it's mainly like a play-by-play. You know, that's how my brain has always worked. But I've always saw it as me. I always saw it as it was who I am. That's me, right? But that's not true, right? Because you don't want to cause harm to other people. You don't want to lie, cheat, or steal. But yet, those thoughts will sometimes tell you to do that. Now, the reason for that is simple. Those thoughts are merely a replay of all of your experiences, the things you've seen, heard, watched, all of this different type of experience, right? I guess your senses, all of your senses, anything that's involved your senses is exactly what your subconscious brain is hanging on to. And that's what you're listening to. That's what you're reading, you're watching, you're hearing, is that. And it's replaying 24 hours a day, nonstop. It just so happens to be mainly negative for most people because of the environment that we're in. At this point in time, with the level of comfort available to the world, there's absolutely no reason why not every single person, everyone, don't get me wrong here, every single person, including people in quote-unquote third world countries, because that's a big scam alone in itself. But I won't get into that right now, because it's all rooted in the same fact of the matter, that your thoughts are not yours. They're simply your experiences repeating over and over. And yes, they are mainly negative, and science has proven this to be a fact, because your reptilian brain, right back here, the amygdala, these different areas in the brain, they are designed to protect you so you don't die, right? This is the purpose. So you get this fight or flight response. What happens is the design of our current world is stating that the end of the world is coming all the time. Look at the news. Look at your bills. Look at the things that are happening around you, right? Everyone is trying to freak you the fuck out. That is the goal. It's becoming very, very apparent. But when you start to realize that your thoughts aren't yours, you can separate yourself from their goal, and you can start to pay attention to your own goals and what you want to do. And it takes time and effort. This isn't an overnight process, because it wasn't an overnight process tricking your brain into constantly being worried and in a stressful state, right? So this is why these things are coming out. It's an opportunity for people to basically gain a surgical precision in their own ability to decipher a thought that is a lion ready to tear their face off between the thought that their friend jumped around the corner just to scare them. You see, you need to have a surgical precision. That is a skill set. That is an ability. That is a practice that has been, in my opinion, intentionally shoved to the wayside for other people's interests, for other people's goals. And this isn't about the billionaires versus broke people or any of that stuff. This is simply, there's a number of people who continuously make decisions based on emotion and these negative thoughts, saying the worst is going to happen, watch out. I'll use something very controversial for this. In fact, let's look at Black Lives Matter, Asian Lives Matter, Purple Lives Matter, Green Guy Lives Matter, right? Okay, let's go back to the Black Lives, Asian Lives, these different things, right? These crimes, these hate crimes, quote unquote, are only being exacerbated by these type of groups and organizations, right? They're just only further insinuating that there's a separation between us, They're only further insinuating that we should look at this as if it's a problem. That is the problem. There was never a problem to begin with. It was simply created by our thoughts. Everything here has been created by our thoughts. You can't deny that. Cars, cement, vehicles, houses, electricity, it's all been discovered and created by us, right? Everything has already been here. In fact, I would even go so far as to say every single thing that's been discovered by us so far has already been here. It's simply us gaining awareness and consciousness, and I believe it's through just the process I'm talking about right now. So let me give you my best piece of tool and advice to conclude this video about how to separate yourself from your thoughts, right? Don't get me wrong, you do have your own set of thoughts. Don't get this mistaken, right? You're a conscious being, right? This is exactly what they say. You're a conscious being. I like personally to believe in the fact that there's a soul in here, and I am that soul. And that soul is definitely not a part of this body, because when the soul leaves the body no longer functions, because it's energy. It's a energy that we have no comprehension of right now, and that's a fact, in my opinion. Okay, that part is, in my opinion, a fact. I shouldn't say that's a fact. In my opinion, there's no doubt about it. That last bit was definitely not a fact. That's my opinion. Okay, my strong, well-educated opinion. Bringing back to how it's being exacerbated, it's all rooted in one virus, and that virus is this: assumptions. The word assume, I made up a little thing to trick myself, and hopefully it'll help you. So if you spell the word assume, it's A-S-S-U-M-E. So every time you make an assumption, you're making an ass out of you and me. Assume, okay? You're making an ass out of you and me every single time. Now don't get this mixed up. Assuming is normal and natural part of your brain's processes. You must be assuming at all times because you're trying to determine what's going to be the best thing to do. So this isn't what we're doing. We're creating that surgical precision within ourselves. It's a practice, it's an effort that builds that precision, that ability to make the perfect swooping surgical maneuver that doesn't cut an artery and cause panic and bleeding and death. You see, it's the precision. We can get right to the edges and we can just perfect, right? By eliminating assumptions as best as possible. Now don't get me wrong, I've been practicing this for 3 years straight now, and in these 3 years I still make assumptions every single day, because again, it's a natural part of your brain. The difference is the types of assumptions I make and the amount of assumptions I make have diminished and changed dramatically. Okay, far less assumptions, and when I do make an assumption, it tends to be, like you said, it's still not a good idea, but they tend to be these little minor infractions, these little things where, let's see, I'm having a discussion with somebody, and maybe it's not going anywhere, or it's coming to a close, and I kind of just will find a way to kind of dwindle it down and get out of the situation, right? And in doing that, you're kind of making these tiny little assumptions that the other party's satisfied, or that you can deal with it later, you can handle it later. Whatever the assumption is, it's these tiny little assumptions that end up building you into a decision that really isn't the optimal decision for that moment. And this is the point, and this is the problem, because right now it's happening on massive scales within your own head and within the world, right? Within your head, just right now, if you were to take this video seriously, I'm sure you can see that you're making an assumption all the time, right? And this is the point. You're dialing it down, and you're building the capability to have precision skill sets on your decisions and on your assumptions. So instead of assuming the sky's going to fall every day and that you're going to get bombed and that the government's going to come take all your stuff, right? Those assumptions start to fall away, and you start to think about alternative routes, right? Instead, I'm assuming it's going to be a great day. You see, I've replaced it. Now my assumption is that today's going to be a great day. What a different assumption than, wow, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. You know what I mean? This is the night and day assumption difference that I'm referring to. And I didn't force this upon myself. I didn't make it happen, right? It's just practice, practice, practice. Like sports, like exercise, like math, like science, like reading, like writing. This is no different at all. It's simply done internally, things that people can't physically see. So we've been too incompetent to make the changes necessary to watch this generation flourish, even the generation beforehand. But specifically this generation, and more importantly in my life, the generations to come. I've already dedicated my life to other people, by far, not a doubt. I get up every day, not for myself, I exercise every day, not for myself. And that right there, I think, is the final key motivator that I could add to this. Practicing not making assumptions, practicing separating yourself from your mind. And third and finally, to piece it together, find something outside of you that motivates you every single day. For me, without a doubt, my family, my children, and thinking deeply, regularly about their future and what it's going to look like based on the climate we live in right now, based on the things that you see on the news, right? I see those things and I say, this is not the future I want for my children. This is not the verbiage I want to see on the news. This isn't the verbiage I want from my president. This isn't the verbiage that I want from my elected officials, the ones that are supposed to be leading the way. They should be teaching us this without a doubt, without a question of a doubt, but yet it's not taught. Done.